Online gambling is one of the most competitive digital industries in the world, and yet many operators are still getting the customer experience wrong. My guest today is Fraser Dunk, CEO of Jurnii, a company using AI to benchmark and analyze digital journeys across the online gambling sector, uncovering friction points operators often don't see or don't want to see. Fresh from ice, Fraser shares what casino operators are consistently getting wrong about player experience, how AI is changing the way brands measure performance, and whether the industry can or should try to defend itself against tools that bring more transparency to the market. Welcome along, Fraser, to the casinos.com podcast.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Yeah, so it's all good. Can you, in about 60 seconds, just explain to the layman, what is it that Jurnii does?
So Jurnii is a digital experience agency, but we've also got a proprietary suite of AI tools that look to automate competitor benchmarking across various different facets. So we analyze, benchmark, and provide recommendations for how brands can improve their UX versus their chosen competitors, and more recently against their promotional and propositional elements as well. The idea being, in a competitive space, those are the two vehicles that brands have at their disposal outside of their marketing spend to really differentiate themselves. So we're providing tools that allow them to do that easier and more effectively.
You're a young man. I'm in my 60s, so AI is sort of a new thing for me. It's probably new to you as well, so it's not too bad. But people do say that there are no real experts in AI and that it's still got a long way to go before it's perfect. Does AI offer you, as a company, everything you need, or as a businessman, or are you, like others, just trying to keep up and adapting on the hoof?
Well, AI has been around in forms for 20 years. It's more recently the kind of rise of LLMs and generative AI that is the more recent focus. But through data science, machine learning, these types of things, it's been around for a while, and it's always been a part of my day-to-day, when my day-to-day has always been, how can you make more effective decisions based on data and insight? For Jurnii itself, the rise of Gen AI gave us an opportunity to automate what was a traditionally manual process. So competitor benchmarking, journey mapping, UX auditing, these are all processes that every iGaming operator follows. The problem with them is they take a lot of time and they cost a lot of money, and they're not scalable in that sense. And AI and automation has given us the opportunity to build a platform that delivers the same level of insight as these kind of more traditional services, but deliver them instantly at scale and at a fraction of the cost.
Just give us an example of one core problem that Jurnii set out to solve that the research tools weren't addressing for online gambling operators.
So every gambling operator will have some form of analytics tool, right? They'll know their behavioral data and their player data, where they're clicking, where they're converting, where they're dropping off, all of this kind of stuff. I would describe that as the what. What is our conversion rate? What was missing in the industry was an understanding of the why. Why might our conversion rate be dropping? Why might our FTD rate be lower than our competitors, whatever it might be? So we built a platform to answer that why through a deep analysis of the platform or wireframe UX. And I view it as a kind of proactive research solution. What we're doing is trying to identify issues and gaps before customers experience them. Traditional analytics tools, by the time you found out there's a problem, it's too late. The customer's already churned. So there was definitely a gap to kind of supplement existing analytics and research tools with a kind of deep UX benchmarking that our platform provides.
And online gambling, we've seen as a result of all the surveys recently, it's in growth. Land-based is sort of struggling to keep up with that. It's a very competitive digital market out there in the world. What are operators consistently getting wrong about customer experience, do you think?
So I think there's a couple of common pitfalls that we see a lot of brands experiencing, and it's the fact that most digital products share UX conventions, be that in gaming or not in gaming. Common button placements, form structures, interaction feedback, mobile responsiveness. These types of things users depend on to make fast decisions. And when these expectations are broken, even slightly, kind of confusion sets in, and it only takes kind of a couple of moments of confusion to derail a conversion. And these friction points appear across the full experience. So it's not exclusive to your kind of core flows or your core products experiences. It's from the moment someone finds out about your brand through an influencer campaign or through a display ad or whatever it might be. If there's a kind of discrepancy in the experience across the full funnel, it causes enough friction that people will choose something else.
And Jurnii benchmarks brands instantly. What are the insights that tend to shock the casino teams the most when they first see their results? What is it that sort of gets them going?
Yeah, I think the way I'd answer this question is like UX is a typically subjective field, right? People have their favorite site or the fastest site or the one they think that looks the best. So when you're offering a UX tool that takes an objective, en masse view of an industry, we kind of tend to counter a lot of these personal subjective views that people have. We can, through the data and the insight that we provide, counter those thoughts of why this one is not the best or not the best UX, kind of typically going against those subjective views. I would argue as well that kind of UX is often very overlooked, and people tend to focus on the big shiny things, the new features and the new innovations and all of these kind of things that are great to focus on and discuss, but they overlook the minor friction points and usability issues and errors that users are experiencing. So I've always described myself as kind of proactive UX person and not a shiny UX person. So we're looking for the proactive issues that are causing friction rather than just focusing on the shiny thing that the industry's released that everyone needs to jump on.
And we tend to hear a lot about the operators, the businesses, but from what you see across the market, which parts of the player journey are most underestimated or misunderstood by operators today?
Yeah, well, the industry itself has a bit of a thesis of acquisition at all costs, right? And people tend to come to Jurnii specifically focusing on their acquisition journeys, their discovery journeys, their visit to registration, visit to FTD, these types of things. But it costs so much more to acquire a customer than to retain one. So we always push to look at the full life cycle and all of the journeys with equal weighting. Your retention journeys, your My Account, your support contacts, your help center, your promos and loyalty programs. These things are all of equal importance, if not more importance, than the acquisition journeys themselves. So I'd say that what we tend to do is we view the entire experience in its entirety and provide insights across those different areas. And we try and shift the thinking away from acquisition at all costs to how you can optimize your UX to drive retention as well as acquisition improvements.
And you recently attended ICE. Why was it important for Jurnii to be there? And what does that kind of event represent for you as a business?
Yeah, it's interesting because we launched in February last year. So ICE last year was like no one knew who we were. And we were spending the whole time trying to like drum up brand awareness and make initial client sales and all of this kind of stuff. This year, we've been in the market for a year. We've got 16 clients. We've run analysis on 300 brands. So the whole purpose of the conference was very different. It was more so meeting existing clients and optimizing and working closely with them on what should be done from the improvements the platform recommends than just cold sales. I was doing interviews like this and being asked and approached about Jurnii and about what we're doing. And it was a complete step change from last year. So my takeaway was it was a huge kind of momentum swing for us from a previous ICE. And we're excited to see what this year brings before the next ICE.
And from the conversations you had at ICE, what challenges or themes kept coming up? Was it sort of regulators? Was it law policies? Was it budgets from the operators and suppliers?
All the common topics that you listed were discussed for sure. I guess the conversations I was privy to and party to were more around AI, UX, B2B, all of these kind of things. And I guess I could summarize the common themes that came out of that were around AI and the enablement opportunity that Gen AI is bringing to the industry. The kind of takeaway message that I have and I would share is the effectiveness of AI is going to be limited in the same way effectiveness of any data program is. It's all kind of what you put into it and how you aggregate your data and how you synthesize your data and how you then prompt that data and things like that. The limitations around data itself are going to still be an inhibitor for the successful implementation of AI. The second one was around B2B and everyone talking about the B2B providers they use and the new B2B entries to the market. And the issues that people were sharing with me were the same issues that have existed for a while in the B2B space. You're kind of locked into a specific provider with a specific front end with limited functionality to change, adapt, improve your front end experience. And there's really a big desire that I'm getting from my conversations in the market of a B2B platform that enables true modularity and true customization and true optimization as kind of industry and player behavior shifts. So I'd say those were the big two.
We know that regulators, policymakers, lawmakers, when they see something that's really good and working, they'll sort of stick their hands in and they'll limit and restrict and put all sorts of rules and regulations in. And some operators, I guess, would be happy to see restrictions on AI access to their sites. Do you expect the industry to develop stronger defenses against tools like yours? And is that ultimately realistic?
I think definitely stronger restrictions against certain AI tools. I wouldn't say against tools like ours, because there is understandably a commercial risk for your typical or certain AI platforms, like your arbitrage bots and your promo abuse automation and your scripting tools for manipulating games, and all of these things should be and will be blocked. But the reality is there's a kind of broader shift in AI from closed ecosystems to transparent and competitive environments. And what's important to understand is Jurnii itself, we're not a scraping tool or a data exploiter. We're kind of helping businesses see what players are experiencing versus their competitors. And we're not exposing anything private or proprietary. We don't need any integrations. We don't need any systems to connect to for clients and all that kind of stuff. Like the ultimate point is trying to defend against AI tools is almost like trying to block Google back in 2004, right? You want to increase the visibility of your brand. You want to increase the visibility to your customers. And AI and LLMs is a way of doing that. So operators should be focusing on how they can sharpen their AI experience and visibility rather than simply blanket blocking it.
And ethics, transparency, all of these things now are coming to the fore. Do you believe greater transparency and benchmarking is in the best interest of both players and operators? And if so, why?
I mean, I've been in the industry like 15, nearly 20 years now, and everyone is benchmarking at all times. I'm yet to come across an operator that isn't benchmarking in some way, be that their quarterly reports, be that their payment methods, their sportsbook features, their casino game providers. Everyone is always looking at what their competitors are doing because it's the easiest way of understanding what's happening in the industry. Benchmarking is kind of baked, is that a word? But if not, it is now, into our industry.
Yeah.
And the difference is now AI and tools like Jurnii are kind of allowing benchmarking to happen more effectively and simpler and more scalably. And I don't think it's about like inhibiting this as a thing. It has operators and player perspectives, right? It's about turning insight into practical action, ideally improving the experience of all operators, of all brands, and ultimately creating a market where operators compete on quality of experience, not just acquisition spend.
And things are moving, as we said, at an incredible pace in AI, but in the industry in general. How do you see AI reshaping digital experience strategy in regulated industries like the gambling market over the next few years?
Yeah, it's a really big question, and I have hundreds and hundreds of thoughts about it. But I think the interesting topic that I've been discussing with people recently is I know of operators that have blocked access to LLMs internally for their kind of employees. It's obviously understandable from a regulatory data sensitivity perspective. You don't want to be giving these access to these kind of open source tools. And what that's leading to, and I think will come out a lot over the next year, is operators building their own LLMs, their own kind of LLMs that sit on top of their own data that is proprietary to them and exclusive to them. And that opens up a huge opportunity, both for internal operational efficiencies, the way that internal employees are working, but also how they can harness, synthesize action and that data into their platform experiences, be that through more optimized, more proprietary, more personal recommendation engines, or a more optimized experience through Jurnii orchestration tools and all of these kind of things. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities that are opening up, and I think a big lever to that is going to be proprietary LLMs that a lot of operators I've spoken to are exploring at the moment.
So where does Jurnii fit into that future, and what would success look like if the industry truly acted on the insights you provide?
Yeah, so I think we've been in market for just under a year. We've analyzed hundreds and hundreds of brands in that time. So we've built a pretty good understanding of per region, per product vertical, per regulation, what best is. And we've got the kind of data to back it up because we've done this mass analysis. So what we're doing in the background is turning this into a kind of design system. So a set of components, principles, UX that each Jurnii product per region should offer. Our goal is to turn that into a front-end platform. And to talk about the B2B limitations I spoke of earlier, we hope to overcome them, because we can offer a front-end solution where we can confidently say it's best in class because we've done the mass analysis. We can confidently say that it will be customizable because of the capabilities we offer with it. And it will also change as the UX in the gaming industry changes, because if a competitor releases a new feature, we know they're doing that. We can amend that within our own front-end experience. So I guess the simple answer to your question is we plan to expand further into the B2B space from being a diagnostic tool to being a kind of front-end platform. And that's what we hope to achieve over the coming years.
And how can you convince our audience that this is the real Fraser Dunk we're talking to?
That's a good question. I don't know. I can show you my cat in the background who's asleep on the sofa.
Something moving,
yeah. No, it's a good question. AI isn't there yet. Hopefully you can still tell.
Do you ever see a time when you think you'll be completely replaced by AI?
Not personally. Like, I have this conversation quite often. I think what AI enables is the opportunity to remove the mundane, repetitive, time-consuming tasks that everyone has to face. What I hope that does is free up the time for people to focus on the more innovative, strategic, creative elements of their roles. Obviously, I'm a UX guy, so I'm speaking from a UX perspective. Rather than focusing so much on research, it gives me the headspace to go away and be more innovative and creative in how front end should look and how capabilities can be implemented and all this kind of stuff. So I have no idea. The pace of AI is moving so fast. It's unlikely, in my opinion, to completely replace everyone, but there will be opportunities for it to enhance everyone for sure.
And what would you say to young people now in schools, asking their teachers about AI and looking for the tools and wondering where they go, what the future holds for them? What piece of advice would you give to them?
I have no idea. Piece of advice would I give to young people? Well, being versed in the capabilities of it is going to be important to deciding how it can fit into your life and how it can fit into what your kind of goals and professional ambitions are and things like that. So there is a lot of different types of AI in inverted commas out there. There is automation, there is LLMs, there is Gen AI, there is ML, there is hundreds of different versions of it, each of them with different capabilities. So being well versed in understanding the differences in all of those different spaces and the capabilities within all of those different spaces will help you build a picture of what it is individually you need to be expert in, or at least understanding of, to grow your own professional career.
Well, Fraser Dunk, many thanks for that real expert overview of your company and AI. Fascinating. And thank you for giving your time today to the Casinos.com podcast.
No worries. Thank you very much for having me.
That was the real Fraser Dunk, CEO of Jurnii. If there's one takeaway from this conversation, it's that AI-driven insight is no longer a nice to have in online gambling. It's quickly becoming a competitive necessity. Whether you're an operator, supplier, or regulator, the way digital journeys are designed, measured, and compared is changing fast. And transparency is going to play a much bigger role in shaping player trust and commercial performance. You can find out more about Jurnii and their work in the iGaming space via the links in the show notes. It is jurnii.io. Thanks for listening. I'm Alan Evans. This has been the Casinos.com podcast. Bye for now.